We can start. Okay, ce l'ho fatta. Okay, sorry because I was not able to start the recorder section. Ragazzi, come sapete, questa è l'ultima riunione che faremo e come le altre verranno registrate e poi inviate via email. Ok, perfetto. Rob, would you like to start your presentation?
Sure. So I do have,
Can you share with us or I share for you?
oh, I don't know. Let's see. I can open it. I sent it ahead yesterday. I didn't know.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
I can for you.
if you don't mind doing that, that would be great.
Okay,
So,
okay.
and before we actually start the formal presentation, I see one student. Hello, I like to see your faces. It's very nice. If others want to turn on their cameras, that would be great. We'd love to see your faces instead of talking to round dots with a letter on them. It's much better to talk to real people. So please,
Ragazzi, se potete
consider that.
accendete la videocamera così I translate some, so
Thank you.
okay.
So hopefully some will do that. I also wanted to add, if you were on the introduction on Zoom with the man from the other agency, I really liked what he said about my job and our jobs in Greenheart. So our jobs are in the beginning to work to find you a great host family and a school. And then once you're here, our jobs are to help you in every way, to support you, um, to be there for you when you have any struggles or problems or situations, whether it's just adapting to our culture and becoming a member of this new family, different from your own. It really is a unique experience, right? And I had those experiences myself when I was your age. I lived with some host families for a short term, not long term. And then when I was in the university, I lived in Spain. And then I went to South Korea as an English teacher after I graduated from university. So we do know, most of us here with Greenheart, we do know what it's like for you from our own experience, but not everyone. You might have a local coordinator that has never had the experience you're having. It doesn't mean that they won't care for you. They will still be there for you and do everything to get the right information for you. But keep in mind that every one of you will have a different experience. And that's really important to remember. Every one of you will have a different and unique experience. You'll be in different locations. You'll be with different types of families. You'll be with a different local coordinator, or maybe some of you will share one. But your circumstances and your situations will all be unique to you. One of the things we've seen over the years that's happened more and more is students comparing their experience to other students. And this I think is a result of technology. I think it's a result of everyone having one of these and being in chat groups and WhatsApp and constant communication, right? So I before we even get into the presentation that I did last year, I wanted to mention that. Please keep in mind that your program is unique for you, and so the best thing to do is have no expectations, to just be open minded and say, I'm excited about wherever I go and whoever I'm with. And I know it'll be an American family and an American high school and a coordinator that cares about me. So let's get into the presentation then. I have to.
Okay. Can you see the
I,
presentation?
I can see it. Can the kids
Uh,
see it? We have, again, just one on camera, I think. What's her name? What's your name that I can see on camera?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, Maria Grazia.
Oh, no.
No,
The
the
young
student.
lady
Aspetta.
student.
Me?
Okay, it's okay. I feel like I'm doing this presentation for her. So
No?
the,
Okay,
the
okay.
this is yeah. So this is some of the field staff. We've actually brought on another regional director, but you see me there in the corner, and the blue states I'm responsible for. I work
Yeah.
with Kathy. Kathy is in New England, which is the states of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, some small states. Connie works in the same role as me with most of the central part of the country. It's just a few faces of Greenheart people that work as regional and executive regional directors. Okay, so you can go to the next one. And the next one is just getting you an idea of who the people are that are working with your local coordinator. Everyone on program will have a local coordinator, and you'll have their information before you arrive. And when you arrive, they need to meet with you for an orientation. They've already given your host family an orientation, and a lot of the information is similar that they talk to your family about and they talk to you about. So the woman in the middle, Pam, she actually is now a regional director. She's in California and has many people in the western part of the United States working with her. Nancy is near me. I live in New York State, not in New York City, in the northern part of the state. It's very, very different than New York City. And so we work with a lot of the people in the east. And then there are also area coordinators who are like team leaders of local coordinators. So when you come, you might have a local coordinator, an area coordinator, a regional manager, a regional director, and me. There might be 5 people involved in the field staff. That's like the maximum. Or your local coordinator maybe will report directly to me. And so it's just 2. So that's just letting you know that there's a lot of people involved that will be our field staff that are overseeing your program. So all of the acronyms at the top, LC, AC, RM, RD, et cetera, you'll hear about. Okay, if you could go to the next one, Maria, please. We also have staff that work in Chicago or used to work in an office in Chicago. That's why it's in quotes. They actually are all working from home these days. We have a different world, right, with Zoom meetings and virtual contact. So Megan is our vice president of all high school programs. And so she's kind of like the boss of all the bosses. Mike is a guy that I work with. His title is Director of Placement Services. So his job is to make sure that all of the students are placed with host families and that the field staff is working to support them. Stephanie, Nicole, and Alyssa are our, oh, I thought I updated that. I must not have saved that. That should say Juliet, Aaron, and Alyssa. I apologize for not saving that change. Juliet, Aaron, and Alyssa are our program support team. So this is really important for you guys to know that we have a program support team based out of Chicago that will work with A Study, and they'll be in communication with A Study all the time about anything that's happening with your program. So if there's any situations or any problems or any information that your parents need to know, that's what our program support team does. Their job is to support our field, but also to support you and communicate with A Study and then with your parents. And when you do your orientation here, you will hear about the appropriate lines of communication. And one of the things that we really, really ask of you on the program that's so important is when you're here, you try your best to talk to your host family first, your local coordinator second, and your own parents third. And I know that sounds really, really strange. I know that sounds maybe very difficult, but once you come on program, we need to be your support. We need to be your helpers. We need to know what's happening with you, positive, negative, neutral, no matter what's going on in your life while you're here. we need to be the first to know, because if your parents are the first to know, I'll ask, Maria, what will they do? Oh, she's muted. If your parents are the first
I'm
to know
here, I'm
about
here.
your situation, they'll call Maria or
Yeah,
Elena or Margarita or the
or
others that work in A study. And then A study will have to write us an email and say,
yeah,
I heard from our student so and so that something's going on in their life and they don't feel supported. And then we
yeah, the
find out.
faster,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
the faster is talk to host family and local coordinator.
Directly,
Yeah,
yeah. And the reason I'm bringing this up in relation to our program support staff is because we want to make their jobs, we want them to be doing their jobs the most effectively and efficiently, which is supporting us here and communicating the most important details to a study. And sometimes it happens backwards, and really it depends upon you, the students, to trust your host, your local coordinator, and trust your host family. So I think that's the next slide. If you could go to the next one. Oh, I forgot about this part. I'm
oh,
sorry. So that's us. Well, what about you? Some of you are already placed. You already know where you're going, who your host family is. Maybe you are communicating with them with FaceTime or Zoom or other ways, and you're all set. You just need to, fly here sometime in January to begin the program. The second group, you're not placed yet. And there are some of you maybe on this call too that don't know your placement. I know it's very frustrating, or maybe you're worried or nervous about that. Don't be, please. Trust us. We will place you. We're working right now to find which schools still are open. We're also working with potential host families where we have schools. This year has been a challenge for us with Greenheart, finding schools that will take second semester students. It was we work with hundreds and hundreds of students that are here for the whole year. We work with a much smaller number just for the second semester. And there are a lot of schools that only will take students for the whole year. So there are schools that are available to us. We are working very, very diligently right now to identify those and find a family near those schools to host you. So please don't worry. Some of you are thinking, wait, it's the middle of December. I have to come in January. It's so close. This happens in August too for the whole school year students, and every year in 1 month we place a lot of students, like 200 or so. So
yeah,
right now we are going to work so hard. If you don't hear before Christmas, just know that the beginning of January, all of our focus is going to be finding you that placement. A lot of our schools start the second semester in different timing. Some of them start immediately after Christmas and New Year's, but many of them continue for the first semester until the end of January. So don't worry about the timing. If you're in a school that started earlier, maybe you'd miss a few days, but most of you will be placed, if you haven't yet, in a school that starts later, so you don't miss any of the semester. Okay, is that clear? Do they have any questions, do you think, Maria, about that?
we they can make question at the end. Okay, it's okay for you
Yes,
at the
absolutely.
end of
Okay,
the presentation. So
sounds good. And then there's one more
okay,
category. I don't remember what it was. If you could click again.
okay,
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't worry, be happy. Yeah, I already said that. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so moving
okay,
ahead, I came up with my top three suggestions, my top three pieces of advice for you. And I already started talking about number one. And it's very easy to say, it's very easy to read, it's really hard to do. And I know that. But please trust us. Your local coordinator, if you have area coordinator, regional manager, or regional director that makes contact with you, please trust us. We are finding host families that we trust to host you. And if you have any situations with the family, if you have any concerns, if you feel anything negative whatsoever, we just beg you to please come to us first. Because if we hear from our program support, because they heard from a study, because they heard from your parents in there in Italy, it just makes it harder, and it actually starts to destroy the trust. So we want to build the trust with you in the beginning. But if you go and you tell your parents that you're not happy, or that there's some problems without telling us, and we find out later, now we have to talk to you, and we feel a bit strange because you didn't trust us. I hope you understand that and understand the importance of that. So that's number one. Next, please. Go ahead. Okay, this is a specific saying that I want you all to repeat. And I want you to say this, even if you're muted, even if nobody hears you, even if it's just for your own brain to hear this. So, everyone say, not better. Okay, I'm going to imagine that I heard you. Not worse, just, go ahead. Go ahead. Different. Okay, so again, either read it or say it. Not better, not worse, just different. This is the most important idea that you can possibly have being an exchange student. This is the most important idea you could have traveling anywhere. This is the most important idea you can have when you meet or interact with people all over the world, from different cultures, different religions, different skin color, different belief systems, different socioeconomic standards. But especially as an exchange student here in the United States, we need you to remember this. The things you experience here, the people you meet here, the school system, your host family, the food, how we celebrate holidays, how we interact with other people, everything about your experience. I want you to remember, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. And if you remember this, your attitude will be so good all the time. Now, everybody has good days and everybody has bad days. Everybody is human and has emotions. And sometimes we feel really good about what we experience. Sometimes we feel not so good about what we experience. But what's really important is that you always remember the idea that the things you're experiencing on your exchange, don't compare them to, your life at home in Italy, especially with the food, especially if your family cooks pasta or gets pizza. I've been there. I've been to Italy and it's
Yeah.
amazing. And you have such amazing, wonderful food. Don't expect us to make the food, especially Italian food, anywhere near as good as you. But it's just a kind of a joke. It's just kind of one aspect. Some things, when you come, you'll love them so much. You might really, really love school because it's just different here. School's different. But as soon as you start comparing and saying, oh, it's better here, that's kind of an insult, in a way, to your own culture, your own teachers. So just different. Okay, hopefully I've explained that enough. Next one. This one is not just one, it's kind of a list. These are what I always believe are the biggest adjustments for European students coming to the United States, especially living with an American host family, and especially where we tend to find families. We don't tend to find families in big cities. So go ahead. You're used to city life. Most of you, I would think, live either in a big city or a small city. but it's still city life. Maybe some of you live a little bit outside the city, but you still have access to buses. You're used to walking a little bit. It doesn't take you long to walk from even outside the city to the city center. American life is so different. It's all so big. Imagine the entire peninsula, the Italian peninsula is, maybe about the size of Florida, or is it a little bit bigger? Maybe it's a little bit bigger, Maria. You can help me.
Mm,
But if
yeah.
you look at the map of the United States, your entire country is more like one of our states. So everything is so big. And in many states, it's so open that the distances are great. And it's a completely different experience than most of what you're used to. So you walk a lot there, or you have metros, or you'll take a bus. But here, a very common thing you'll be saying to your host families is this: I need a ride. um, Getting a ride. We go everywhere in our cars. Now, a lot of you have cars, of course, right? Your parents drive and they give you rides, in a sense, but you also have more independence. You also have more freedom and flexibility to walk to the park and meet your friends, or to, get a city bus, go across the city to see a concert or something. Our high school kids, our teenagers don't usually do that. Once in a while, maybe, but the majority get a ride in a car from their parents just about everywhere. The older students, they have a driver's license and they can drive. And that might be a little different too for you to be riding in a car with one of your friends driving. And so that's a possibility. But city life and American small town and suburb life are just really different. So it's an adjustment for Europeans that you need to be ready for. Next one.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just being kind of silly. You can click again. I need a ride. I need another ride again. And then after you get a ride somewhere, you text or call your host mom and dad. Can you please pick me up now? Because I need a ride home. So again, I'm being kind of funny, but it is real. It is real. It is part of your experience, where communicating with your host parents all the time about where you're going, what you're doing, when you have to be there, when you need to get picked up and brought home. That's a big part of the experience. Okay, next one, please. So, speaking of your host parents, American host.
Rob, we cannot hear. Rob, can you hear me? Abbiamo perso Rob.
Am I still
Rob,
here?
can you hear? Because
Yes. Am I back?
okay, yeah, American parental expectation.
Yes.
Go.
So
Okay.
all parents love their kids, and all parents, want to protect their kids. And so I think it's not that different, but around communication and where you are and what you're doing and where you're going and who you're with, that might be kind of strange for you. I find that a lot of European high school students, teenagers, are more independent, and their parents kind of just, let them do their thing, and don't maybe ask all the time where they are and who they're with and what they're doing and where they're going. And so it can come across like they don't trust you, but it's really more they care about you and they want to protect you, especially being an exchange student, especially being someone else's child that now we are responsible for here while you're here living in our home. And so just kind of remember that if you feel a little bit um uh, not suffocated, that's too strong. If you feel like a little bit like
Control.
controlled, or they ask too many questions, or they always need to know all these things, it's not to invade your privacy. It's really they care, they want to protect you. They know their community, they know their schools, they know the dangers. And honestly, all teenagers can be all teenagers can have possibility of making bad decisions, right? There are American teens that do things that you cannot do on our program: smoking, drinking, situations with boyfriends and girlfriends. And so we need to protect you from those things, because we want you to have an amazing program full of lots of activities and sports and music, and enjoying your school and learning English, and having great time with your families. We don't want those what's the word um, those possibilities to be a problem. And your host families are there to help you, to steer you away from some of those possible situations. So, American parental expectations, you can easily just ask your host parents, what are some of your expectations for me? How are some of the ways that I can be a good host daughter or a good host son to you? Be open and have those conversations in the beginning, and you won't have any problems at all. Okay.
Okay.
This is a really interesting idea that I didn't understand for a long time when I first started in this world of exchange. But over time, I've kind of realized there's a huge difference between independence and responsibility. Sometimes we think they're the same. Sometimes we think, oh, if I'm very independent, if I'm allowed to go and come and do, things on my own without much oversight from my parents, it means that I'm very responsible. And maybe that's true, but sometimes it's not. We find that American teenagers, maybe you will perceive that they're not very independent, that they depend upon their parents for, like I said, rides, and the parents need to know a lot of what they're doing. But American students, American teens do experience a lot of responsibility kind of young. They're allowed to drive at a younger age, I think, than Europeans. They get jobs. You'll be so surprised at how many of your American friends have part time jobs. And I respect so much the European way that teenagers are high school students first, and their job is to be a student and to learn and to get good grades so they can go to university and have a great future. I so respect that. But a different way of thinking about it here, again, not better, not worse, just different, is that an additional part of your education is having a job. Maybe it's just a few hours a week. Maybe, it's not a hard job, but you're learning how to arrive to your job on time, to do some work, and you get paid for it. And so a lot of American teens learn responsibility in different ways, and tend to be very responsible, except not so maybe independent. So I want you to think about that idea as you arrive and as you start meeting people and making friends. And, just kind of remember this. If anyone, hopefully, if anyone is taking notes too, let us know, when you get here, that you did this orientation, and, you remember learning a little bit about this, and now you see it for yourself. So there might be one more on there, Maria.
Oh.
Yes, 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 yes. We here in America are busy. We're really, really busy,
Mm.
and it's important that you expect to be busy. As an American high school student, um, your actual academic classes are just the beginning of your high school experience. I think about the clubs, and music and theater and sports and all kinds of opportunities to participate in uh, high school life that's not just in the classroom learning your math and science and English and history. And so when you start participating in other things, that's going to keep you really busy. And then there's our family life on top of that. Our family life tends to be um, I would say Europeans more, the family life is during vacations and maybe here or there on the weekend, right? Americans tend to schedule family time and family activities a lot more frequently. And so sometimes as an exchange student, there can be like a pull on you. Like you feel pulled to your friends when you make friends. You feel pulled to your studies and pulled to your activities and sports. And then the host family says, oh, but we have plans on, on Thursday or Friday evening. We're going here, we're going there, that kind of thing. And so part of the experience is learning how, to juggle, if you know, juggling balls, right? Learning how to juggle those different activities. And so you will be very, very busy. And we encourage you to talk to your host family, talk to your local coordinator if and when it's too much, right? If you feel like you're involved in so many things and it's a little too much, just be honest about that and talk. Now, if the opposite happens and you're not busy, sometimes students want to blame other people for that. Sometimes students say, oh, I'm just bored. My host family doesn't do anything. They don't go anywhere. I just go to school and come home. Everybody just maybe watches TV or they're on their phone. This is not what I expected. So if that happens, I encourage you to take initiative. I encourage you to think of your situation and figure out how you can be the solution, how you can get more involved at school. Find a club, find a sport, find something additional to do. In your host family, if the host family is not very active, encourage them or initiate some kind of activity. Hey, I'm only here for a few months. I would love to see, another city. Is there a time we could go visit? Or, if nobody's doing anything, let's play a game or let's watch a movie together instead of everyone doing things separately. So again, I really encourage you to take initiative if you're not busy. And if you're too busy, be honest and open up to us about that.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Any questions? They're probably going to be way too shy to ask questions, but we'll see.
Ragazzi, avete questa occasione per fare tutte le domande che volete, quindi io direi approfittatene, no? Oppure scrivetele nella chat se non volete.
Maybe you can ask
Va bene?
them. Maybe you can
Yeah, Rob.
ask. Maybe you can ask them to be honest if they understood everything I said.
Yeah,
Maybe do a
okay.
ranking like 1 to 10. 10 is they
Okay.
understood everything I said.
Avete
1 is nothing.
yeah. Avete capito tutto? C'è qualcosa che non è chiaro, che magari volete chiedere? Mh? Sara, tu vuoi aggiungere qualcosa?
Sì,
Arianna
nel senso se magari c'è anche qualche domanda per me che sono stata in America l'anno scorso e comunque ho fatto esperienza di tutto quello che Rob ha detto in questi minuti, quindi comunque andare in America è un grande cambiamento culturale, quindi è normale avere domande e quindi siamo qui per rispondere.
Okay, there is one question.
Sure.
Okay. About school sports, how does it work?
Good question. We have basically 3 seasons, sports seasons throughout the school year. So we have the fall, and then the winter, and then the spring. And so different states, different locations have they offer different sports in these times. But for example, everybody plays American football in the fall. So all of the boys who play American football already played that sport. So that is finished. Okay. Other sports, maybe they play in the fall or the winter, like volleyball. Volleyball in some areas is in the fall, in others, it's right now. And so, because winter sports are happening right now, and you are arriving for the second semester, you will be too late to play the winter sports. So when you arrive, the winter sports maybe have another few weeks or maybe a month, but they're kind of at the end. So for second semester students, your choice will be limited to the spring sports. Okay. And when it's time for those to begin, your host families will know you have a conversation with your host family and your local coordinator and say, okay, the spring sports I can choose are track and field, baseball for boys, softball for girls, maybe tennis, maybe soccer, maybe lacrosse, which is very unique sport to this part of the world, maybe field hockey. So those are probably the ones that you can choose from. Okay. They're mostly outdoor sports because now they start in maybe March and the weather is getting nicer, and so they go March, April, May, maybe into June. Okay. So for second semester students, that's going to be your option for participating in school sports. Did you understand that?
Avete capito ragazzi? Quindi chi parte per il secondo semestre, potrà partecipare agli sport primaverili, che sono in genere quelli o all'aperto o atletica, o sport come questi, baseball, softball. Okay. Other questions?
That was a really good question. Very specific. I like that.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's all clear.
Okay. Well, if you think there's
Okay.
anything else you would like me to share,
No, probably we have
I
another
have a
question.
question.
Vai Roberta.
Emma.
Oh, Emma, okay.
I'm shy, so if I can't make friends, what do I do?
wow, good question. Good question. The best way for you to make friends is to only be shy for a very, very short time. And I know that sounds really difficult. I know I'm trying, what maybe you take that as, don't be myself. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is do everything possible to overcome your shyness. And for this one experience, find your inner extrovert. Do you understand? Talk to people, introduce yourself. Hopefully you have people in your family that or your local coordinator that will introduce you to other teenagers. Maybe you'll have host brother and sister that are in the high school, but maybe not. So whenever you're introduced to somebody, whenever anyone introduces you to another teenager, ask questions. Ask them to share, contact information. And I know teens communicate in very different ways now than in the past. In the past, it would be your phone number to call or text. Now it's some social media app, I'm sure, but get information from them so you can reach out and say, oh, this is Emma. We met yesterday. Are you playing a spring sport? I'm thinking of maybe doing one. Are you in a club? I'm not sure which club to do. Oh, I met you in the morning and then I noticed you're in my science class in the afternoon. Maybe we can study together. So the important thing, Emma, is to be as active and proactive as possible when you meet somebody, to then take that to the next step so it becomes a friendship. And maybe that person you meet is not the best person for you to be friends with. Maybe they're, you're just very different, but by starting there, you'll meet other people too. And I think when you're in American school, there should be an interest in you because you're Italian. There should be an interest in you because you're a Greenheart student. There should be an interest in you, and other students want to know you. They'll talk to you. They'll ask you questions. The most successful students are the ones that take that opportunity to engage and become friends. They don't just answer the questions and then walk away. And unfortunately, some of our timid, shy, quiet, reserved, introverted students, they make that mistake. Because I can guarantee you, American teenagers will be interested in you. It's how you then respond to that to turn that into a friendship or to find friends. So hopefully that was helpful.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sarah, would you like to tell us how did you make friends?
I made friends with like my team. It's really important to do sports when you are in America because students there don't hang out a lot, maybe during the week, or we usually go out in the center of the city for a walk. That's how we communicate. We go out with our friends. In America, it's not like that. Most of the friendships we do um, are during the sport time. So it's really important to do a sport or be in a club because it's there that you are going to make all of your friendships, and hopefully you will hang out with your friends um, maybe during the weekend or when um, you have a school event, and during the sport time that you are make out of your friendships.
That's a good
So
answer, Sarah. Good answer. And sometimes students, just like Emma said, what if I'm shy? And some students will say, well, what if I'm not sporty? What if I don't
I was
really like
shy.
sports?
I mean, I was really shy because my English was not really good, so I was afraid to say something wrong or in the wrong way or be misunderstood. So I was really shy at the beginning, but like American people are really interested to someone that is not from their country because a lot of people there never really been out of their state, and they are really interesting of knowing what is uh, life out of the state or out of America. They are really interesting. So they are going to ask you a lot of questions. And sometimes it's really fun because they are going to ask maybe really weird questions. Like, I don't know, they sometimes ask really weird questions that you don't expect them to don't know it the answer. So it's really interesting to communicate with them, and really important to not being like, I don't know how to say it, like if you're shy, like you said later, like you just answer the question and go away. That is wrong because a really interesting way to introduce yourself is talking about maybe your culture, the way it's different in where you live. So it's really interesting to have those conversations with them because you talk about your culture, and in the same time you learn about the other person culture that is obviously different because it's the other side of the world. So I think it doesn't really matter if you are shy or you are maybe a talking person, but I think it's not that them can I don't know make you make friends or not. It's the way that you act. If you are kind, if you are always I don't know, outgoing and easy to talk to, then people are going to be interested
Mm.
in
That's a
what you
great
are going
answer.
to say.
Yeah.
Sarah, I didn't realize that you were already on the program. I'm glad to know that
Yeah,
you joined us. Could you could you add anything to my presentation, or were there any uh, parts of my presentation that you wanted to,
yeah,
agree with me
yeah. I think
about or focus on?
I agree about everything because I experimented it. Like it was really different, and maybe sometimes I had cultural shocks because um, at the beginning, like the first month that you are in America, you are excited. So doesn't really matter like the cultural changes because you are excited to be there. You are ready to make new experience. After that month that you experimentize that excitement, you start to be maybe you start to notice like what is really different and what makes you feel homesick sometimes. So the important work that an exchange student has to do is after that month. So you have to upset that those changes are not better or worse than your country, are just different. So you just have to be ready to be part of that culture for that period. You're going to be there like for 6 months. I was there for 10 months. For that period, you don't have to look at the culture like the American culture. You have to live in that culture and go along with that culture as much as you can, and not judge. The important thing is not to judge. Like in my way is better, this way is better. That's not the way of like being in the culture. You just have to experimentize as much as you can and learn from everything you experimentize. It's not going to be like or all good or all bad, and you have to I don't know balance
Hmm.
Yeah.
things.
I
And
think that it's important not to compare everything.
one point
Yeah,
that she makes too, Sarah, that you make that is really good, that I tell students, and they think I'm crazy, is that we this is a learning experience, and it's not just learning English. This is learning about yourself, and growing. And the way we grow and learn the best is through challenges. When we have a
yeah,
challenge, when we have something difficult, when we have a problem, when things don't go perfectly and we're not super happy, that's when we have to find solutions. We have to depend on people. We have to, work through the challenge, right? To get back to a better place. That's where we grow and we learn the most. And so my
yeah,
advice to all of you listening to this is don't don't run away from problems. Don't be intimidated and scared by difficulties and hard situations. Realize that that's where you're going to learn and grow the most. And if you use the resources you have and the people that care about you to help you get through those relationships become even stronger. And your host family will really be your host family for life. They will be your second family. Second to your Italian family, your American family will be your second family for the rest of your life, unless you have a problem and you run away from it, or you just tell your coordinator, oh, I can't live with these people anymore. No, 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 no. That's not the way. the way is to work through those differences and those issues. So please, please, please remember that. Okay?
Yeah, one of the most important things is to remember that people in different places do things in different ways. So in America is really important. The family part is where you are going to be most of the time, and it's really important to ask for help when you need it. It's not easy to live in a place where you're not understood sometimes. So it's really important in the relationship with your host parents. They have to be like first persons that you can trust. So it's really important to create a relationship where you can trust each other and you can ask for help and know that if you're going to ask for help, they are going to help you. So it's really important to create this kind of relationship. So that's my advice. Be ready to the compromise.
Nice.
Nice.
Perfect
Right.
words. That's so
Right.
well said. Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, last question. If the school starts later, it finish later too?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. The second semester at every school will be a full 5 months.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, all students
You're
who are
welcome.
here
So
today.
good luck to everyone, and hopefully you'll be here soon. And if you don't have your family yet, don't worry. Be happy. We've got it covered. It might just be, in January. Okay?
Ok. Thank you, Rob. Ragazzi, se c'è qualcosa che non avete capito e volete ancora chiedere, ditemi, se no chiudiamo qua.
Io avevo ancora un'altra domanda per Sara.
Okay. We have another question.
Oh, okay. I was
Okay.
about to leave. Glad I didn't click the red button.
How was the first day of school? Do you understand everything, or how were the
For
teachers?
Sarah.
Okay, my English at the beginning was not good, so I understood maybe 20% of what people were saying to me. So I was pretty confused. But American people are really nice. I mean, it's different. Like even when you walk in the street, like you're walking alone and people that don't know you, like just say, you are look good looking today. I like your shirt. It's really common. So they are really nice. So the first day that I was in the school, all the teachers knew that I was an exchange student and that I didn't understand really well English. So they helped me a lot, and it was fun, I think. And with the locker, we walking class to class. It was fun.
Okay, thank you.
And I would add to that every one of you has a unique situation. Again, you have different levels of English. For some of you, your first day will be, really seem kind of easy, and maybe one or two teachers speak really fast and you didn't understand everything. Other students, it's like a dream. Like you understand a little bit and you remember a little bit, but it's like this just blur is a word we use. Like the whole day was a blur. Like what just happened, but it gets better every day, right, Sarah? It gets a little bit better and a little bit more natural, and you understand a little bit more every day. And then within a few weeks, it's really kind of normal. And your brain starts changing from Italian to English all the time. It will happen.
Okay. Another two question. What about the families? Are they arriving? Rob ha già risposto a questa domanda. The family are arriving or before or after Christmas? When we can decide the subject that we will study?
Wait, what was the last question? I didn't understand the
When
arrival.
we can okay. No, they are asking about host family placement.
Right. Like I
But
said,
you,
like
yeah,
I said,
you
you know,
just said.
if they don't have the placement now, we're working, but we can't promise anything before Christmas. Right now, everyone, right, are focused on Christmas. It's so hard to get the attention of, you know, our schools and potential host families, you know, which is why once Christmas and New Year's are passed, it's so much easier, right, to finalize the placements at the beginning of January. And so if they don't have it yet, I'm just saying it's probably going to come beginning of January, but not to
Okay.
worry
Yeah.
that they'll come to places where school starts later.
Okay. And when we can decide the subject that we will study? I think the
What,
first day of school.
well, usually the students will come if possible a few days before the semester starts and go in to speak with the counselors to establish their schedule, maybe, you know, just before the first day of classes. But if that doesn't happen, if there's not enough time, then that's what they do the first day. And it's really easy for second semester students to do this because they're the only ones that have to get a new schedule. Everybody else has their schedule. They just come back from vacation, right? So it really is not a problem at all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you again. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Sarah. And we will see.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Maria, for coordinating.
Thank you.
All
Ciao a
right.
tutti.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.